What's up, everybody? Ponylover1989 here. The next anime title I'm going to be telling you about is Peter Pan the Animated Series. Now, Peter Pan the Animated Series, or in Japanese, Peter Pan no Bouken, is an anime TV show by Nippon Animation, who you may know as the Japanese animation studio that work on A Dog of Flanders and Heidi, Girl of the Alps, and Anne of Green Gables, and many other works. It was directed by Yoshio Kuroda and was aired in Japan on Fuji Television between January 15th, 1989 to December 24th, 1989, Christmas Eve, and it is popular in the United Kingdom. It is the adaptation of the classic novel by James Matthew Barrie. The series spanned a total of 41 episodes. It was scheduled to start on January 8, 1989, but due to the death of Emperor Showa, the premiere got postponed for a week. It was part of the World Masterpiece Theater, a famed animation staple by Nippon Animation, which produced an anime version of a different classic book of the story each year. The anime, while adapting material from the original novel, also adds numerous original story arcs. In the usual case of the World's Masterpiece Theater, the stage is a real world, and the main character is often exposed to terrible circumstances such as single-parent family or orphan, and it tends to have gloomy atmosphere. However, this work of the anime is a rare case. The stage is a fictional world, and although the story of battle and adventure, it has a bright atmosphere. In 1989, when the work was broadcasted in Japan, the Tiananmen Square protests occurred, the Berlin Wall was removed, and the Communist Party governments were overthrown one after another in Eastern Europe. It is an interesting phenomenon that the people in Eastern Europe who demand freedom have risen up and won freedom like Peter Pan and his companions. The series was also later translated and released in several international audiences worldwide in 1990, sometimes under the name Peter Pan the Animated Series in Europe. It was broadcasted on television networks in Spain, SEEK in Portugal, Germany, Kika in Germany, Italia 1 from Italy, TV3 in Sweden, Fox Kids also in Sweden and Norway, Russia, Finland, Poland. It also aired in numerous other countries such as Israel on IETV and Fox Kids, Brazil, Mexico, the Philippines, Sky One's Fun Factory on the United Kingdom, and from 2009 to 2012, Indonesia. The anime starts with Wendy having a dream about Peter Pan rescuing her and having a sword fight with Captain Hook. Wendy and her two brothers later on in the episode go to Never Never Land, and Wendy becomes the mother of the Lost Boys. Throughout the series, a romance blooms between Peter and Wendy as they go on fights with pirates. The last half of the series deviates from the original storyline in a total of 3 camps: Peter Pan, Captain Hook, and Sinastra. 2 new characters, Sinastra and Luna, become an important part of the last episodes. It was different than the original Disney animated movie from way back in the 1950s. The everyday wear of Peter Pan is brown in this work. Let's see. Development. The preview summaries and character designs and pictures of Peter Pan were released in the magazines to promote the series. The character designs were slightly different from when the series aired. The story summary had the plot of Peter and his friends stealing a treasure map from the pirates and went on a journey to find it. Here are the differences from the book and other Peter Pan versions, and different from the Disney version. In all the other versions, Peter has a dagger, always worn close to himself to be ready for a duel all the time. In Peter Pan no Bouken, Peter uses a big scarf tooth for his fights. In the book and most of the other versions, the Darling children leave home and go to Neverland in their pajamas. The Disney version, the live-action 2003 version from Universal Studios, Peter Pan Live, even Burbank Film Australia's version. Here, they're first wearing pajamas when Peter visits them at night, but before leaving they change and are with their normal all-day clothes in Neverland. As in some of the other versions, like Fox's Peter Pan and the Pirates on Fox Kids, or The New Adventures of Peter Pan. In the book, and the other versions that were only one clock in Neverland, the one is inside the crocodile. But here in episode 8, the clock is shown that Hook also possesses another one on his ship. In the book and the live-action movie from Universal Studios 2003, and the live version, and at the end of the story, it also ends with Hook who gets eaten by the crocodile, but here he doesn't die. In the book and many other versions, the Disney animated version, the live-action movie from 2003, and Peter Pan Live, and Burbank Films Australia's Peter Pan, or Fox Kids' Peter Pan and the Pirates, Peter and the others have their home in an underground house, and as the name says, they live under the earth. Here they have a tree house and live over the ground and later change it into a moving house on wheels. In the book and Fox Kids' Peter Pan and the Pirates, the Lost Boys and John Darling share a big bed, and Michael, as being the smallest of the siblings, has his own bed, which is a big basket. In The Adventures of Peter Pan, or Peter Pan Live, everybody has their own bed. In Barrie's novel and the live-action movie from Universal Studios 2003, or Burbank Films Australia's Peter Pan, Peter and the boys build an extra house for Wendy where only she lives and then regularly spends her time in an underground house. In this version, like in Peter Pan Live on NBC, Wendy doesn't have her own house and lives in the same one as Peter and the others. In the book and most of the other versions, like the Disney animated version, the live-action 2003 film from Universal Studios, and Burbank Films Australia's Peter Pan, or Fox Kids' Peter Pan and the Pirates, the gang of the Lost Boys includes 6 boys, but here there are only 3. At the end of the novel and some other versions like the live-action movie from 2003 by Universal Studios or Peter Pan Live from NBC, the Lost Boys leave Neverland, get adopted by the Darling family, and grow up. But here they stay in Neverland, and after Peter returns to Wendy's house and finds out she's grown up and has a daughter, the boys are still children. At the end of the last chapter from Barrie's novel, Peter, after several years, visits the Darling house again and meets a grown-up Wendy. And this was presented in Peter Pan Live from NBC. In this version, when Peter returns to London, the adult Wendy was not home, but only her daughter Jane, who explains to Peter that Wendy has grown up. At the end of Barrie's story, when Peter visits Wendy in London, his little fairy Tinkerbell was already dead. But in The Adventures of Peter Pan, or the Disney sequel to the animated film Return to Neverland, when Wendy was an adult, Tink was still alive and comes together with Peter to the Darling house. Although the original Japanese script makes no reference to the crocodile's gender, the English translation of the series refers to the crocodile as a he. In Tinkerbell the Pirate Fairy, the crocodile of the Disney version is referred to as a he, and the crocodile in the Burbank Films Australia film of Peter Pan was also described as a male. However, in Barrie's original novel, the crocodile is described to be a female. This was followed by the animated TV series of Fox Kids' Peter Pan and the Pirates and the authorized sequel novel, Peter Pan and Scarlet. Anyway, this is basically all I can tell you about the anime TV show Peter Pan no Bouken. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like me to talk about more anime titles like this one, comment your thoughts down below. Or if you want me to watch and react to an entire season and series of the anime TV show Pokemon, post your thoughts on the comments down below. And if you like this video, click a thumbs up if you like it. Notify me and don't forget to subscribe. Ponylover1989 signing off, and I will see you all in the next video. See you later.